Hey there, welcome back to Embodied Astrology. My name is Renee, if we haven't met before. It is Scorpio season, and oh my gosh, this season is bringing so much water. It's really quite a deluge, and I think a lot of folks are going to have a lot going on this season, so I really hope that these readings are supportive for you and whatever you have going on. Remember that horoscopes are general readings, so they may not resonate fully for everyone or with everything. Make sure to take what works and leave the rest, and also make sure to listen to readings differently for your different placements. My readings are for your sun, moon, and rising signs, and they are going to be most accurate for rising signs. But I will say that if you have a late degree rising, like 20 to 30 degrees of the zodiac sign your ascendant is in, you might also want to listen to the reading for the sign that follows yours. Just give it a try, see if it speaks to you. Okay, so some of you know that I took a break over the summer and fall, which meant that I pre-recorded Gemini through Libra season. That was the last 4 months of readings back in June. And now my break is over and I'm back. And I will tell you that taking a break from my usual rhythms and shaking up the schedules in my life was an excellent choice. It allowed me space and perspective and rest, and I feel refreshed and excited to read for you again. And this is a great thing because I'm also about to start working on one of my favorite annual projects, which is my year ahead readings. I've been doing year ahead readings now for 6 years, and every time it is such a powerful experience for me to map out the astrology of the upcoming 12 months, meditate with that map for each of the signs, and work with readings that incorporate embodiment, meditation, and visualization with all kinds of other things like forecasting and practical advice for making the most of the opportunities and working skillfully with the challenges. So if you love my readings, this is your chance to pre-order your 2026 year ahead at a discount for the entirety of Scorpio season. That's October 22nd till November 21st. When you purchase 2 annual readings, you can get a 3rd reading free. And this is great news if you have different sun, moon, and rising signs, and also great news if you have astro lovers in your life and you're looking for a cute gift to share. This sale won't last, and as of Sagittarius season, the readings will go back to their normal price, so make sure to take advantage now and click the link in the show notes to pre-order 2026 readings for all your signs. All right. So I'm going to take a quick break for ads. Thank you for your patience. Ads help me pay the bills and keep me offering free content like these readings. So you know how to fast forward. And if you want to support my work and help me do more of what I do, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, and consider leaving a tip. And definitely stick around. Your Scorpio season reading is coming up next. Hello Aries, welcome to Scorpio season. Scorpio and Aries have an interesting relationship. They are in relationship in the wheel of the zodiac in a way that traditional astrologers will say they can't see each other. They are 150 degrees away. This is an aspect called a quincunx, kind of a fun word, also sometimes called an inconjunct. But they both share the same affiliation with Mars. Mars is considered to be at home in both Aries and Scorpio. And as it happens, as we move into Scorpio season, Mars is in Scorpio. And this is notable for Aries because wherever Mars is, it is doing something important for you as an Aries identified person. Now, there's a lot happening in Scorpio season. We begin the season the day after the Libra new moon. Libra is your opposite sign. And that new moon coming at the very last degree, the very last day of Libra, feels like it is a little bit of a portal for you into a new dimension of your relationships and the journey that you take as an individual through the experiences of relationships. I don't know which wise person said this at some point, but now it's become a meme, that we know ourselves by knowing ourselves in relationship. And the other person is showing you who you are, as well as showing you who they are. But so much of what comes up in relationships is projection and reflection and some kind of energetic working out of who is who and what is what, especially when it comes to important relationships like significant partnerships or really close friends or people who you are collaborating with or otherwise just in some kind of dynamic and agreement with, where you have to negotiate and you have to kind of stay in it together. Those relationships can be contentious as well as friendly and romantic and very deep, but they do a thing for us. And especially when we have strong reactions or strong feelings about other people, oftentimes we are in some kind of process of actually learning a lot about ourselves. So the new moon happens, then Scorpio season begins. Mars is in Scorpio, Mercury is in Scorpio, and the day that Scorpio season starts, Mercury is beginning to cast the shadow over the terrain of the zodiac that it will return to for its upcoming retrograde. So you may have heard of the retro shade. I love this term. Or the pre-retrograde shadow. This is the period of time when a planet is traveling direct over the degrees of the zodiac that its retrograde will return to. And Mercury begins to cast its shade the day that Scorpio season begins, but it doesn't station retrograde until well into Scorpio season on November 9th. Now, the shade is cast from Scorpio into Sagittarius. And in your chart, this is kind of an interesting shadow that is being cast, because we might think that, you know, if Scorpio is a place where it's hard for you to see, and I'll get into that in a little bit, Sagittarius is a place where you can see it easy and you like what you see there. Sagittarius is your fellow fire sign. It holds the solar ninth house in the Aries solar charts. This is a place of optimism and faith and really having a big view on something. And there is a feeling of adventure and possibility that comes in with the energies of Sagittarius. So on November 9th, Mercury will station retrograde at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. You might want to check your Aries placements. And if you have early Aries placements in the first 10 degrees or so, it's kind of interesting to note when planets are making aspects to your natal placement. So this would be a trine. But Mercury will return to Scorpio as of the 18th or so of November. And it will move all the way back through the last 10 degrees of Scorpio. It will station direct on November 29th, after we've already gotten into Sagittarius season at 20 degrees of Scorpio. And then it will do the whole trip again. So it will move out of Scorpio. Where it stations direct is basically where we are as Scorpio season begins, or it is the degree that Mercury is as Scorpio season begins. So then it goes forward again and leaves its shadow December 16th, which is when it passes 6 degrees of Sagittarius again. So Scorpio season is fully contained with this retrograde influence. And not only are Mercury and Mars traveling through Scorpio as we move into Scorpio season, they are throwing aspects to Jupiter in Cancer and Neptune, Saturn, and the North Node in Pisces. So we have pretty big planetary energies, Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, and the nodal points. These are the eclipse points. They're like heavy hitters in the astrological codex. These are slower moving bodies. Jupiter is the fastest of them all and hangs out in one sign for a year. Mercury only usually takes like a couple of weeks in a sign. Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011. It actually made its first ingress into your sign, into Aries. If you've been listening to Embodied Astrology for a while, you've definitely heard me talk about that, because that's a big deal, Neptune coming into your sign. First time Neptune has been here since the 19th century. It has about 150, 160 year orbit around the sun. So 2011 until 2025 is a span of time that collectively we all get to experience a once in a lifetime transit of Neptune and Pisces. Pisces is the last degree of the zodiac. It is the sign that comes before yours. Yours is the first sign of the zodiac. I said last degree. I meant last sign. But Neptune is actually retrograde back into Pisces now at the last degree. The very last degree of Pisces, the very last degree of the entire zodiac. And it's giving end of the world days. I'm just gonna say that. Now, I don't think the world is ending entirely in 2025. Certainly hope not. I really don't think it is. And also, as many people will remind me and others all the time, worlds have ended before. If you look back at human history, and certainly if you look back at geological time, the earth is constantly changing. There are constant arisals and dissolvings of life forms, of situations, of context, etc. So we are living through some end days. I don't think I need to explain it more than that. I'm sure that you have your own perspective on what is happening in 2025 and as we move into 2026. But there is a big shift in reality right now. And in Scorpio season, Neptune is hanging out the entire freaking season at the end of the world, the very last degree of Pisces. Now, Neptune will be stationing direct in Sagittarius season. It will then be moving back into Aries by early next year. It's going to hang out in your sign until 2038. We're going to see what that's going to be like. But in Scorpio season, it is holding still at this critical degree in the zodiac. And a colleague of mine who is an Aries rising did a series with Embodied Astrology last year called the Nebula Lab. Gabs 404 explored this critical degree of 29 degrees of Pisces. And one of the symbols that has been given to this degree is the earth is pregnant with alternate futures. And I really love this symbol because it speaks to this quality of time that we are in, where there is so much possibility actually in how much is changing and breaking down, and how many people are feeling disillusioned, and the immense amount of grief that is flowing through the collective channels, and this feeling of what is reality, you know, what is actually important, what's actually happening. In confusion, we actually learn a lot. Confusion is a super important state because it makes us pay attention in new ways. So I digress. Scorpio season, Neptune is here at the end of the world, and just a couple of degrees before that, we have Saturn also slowing down, holding still, very close to Neptune, also preparing to station direct in Sagittarius season. And then we also have the North Node hanging out in Pisces. This is the eclipse point. I am recording for you just not even a week after the eclipses in Virgo Pisces seasons. This is September 24th today as I'm recording this. And the charts for Scorpio season definitely feel like they are being impacted by the eclipses that have just happened in Virgo season. All this to say, there is a lot that is happening in the element of water. Oh, I forgot to say, Jupiter in Cancer, holding it down at the root of your chart for Aries. Cancer is the root. It is the base of the Aries solar chart. Jupiter is exalted here. This is some good news. I feel like a lot of you are hopefully receiving some benefits from this presence. This is a presence that wants to help you expand your sense of possibility in the directions of what we might call home and family, and also in your place in the world, and your sense of belonging and rootedness and personal stability and groundedness. And this is definitely a period of time that is giving you a lot of support. The more that you can anchor into your own stability, tend and cultivate your own sense of belonging, and expand your container and welcome in new connections, new relationships, and the deepening of pre-existing relationships. Who can you feel like home with, and how can you feel like home? I'm thinking of a quote by N.K. Jemisin. I might get it wrong. It says something like, home is not where you go or where you are, but what you have with you. And so there's a feeling of that as I'm tuning in with Jupiter and Cancer in your chart. So all this to say, a grand water trine is active throughout all of Scorpio season. It actually starts to form in Libra season. It's super strong in Scorpio season, and it continues through at least the first, the last middle bit of time in Sagittarius season when Mercury goes back into Scorpio. What does this mean, Aries? This is my feeling. Take what works, leave the rest. The water signs in your chart hold the deepest places of the chart, the most personal, the most psychological, and the hardest to see, the hardest to understand. Because these are places in the chart where you are necessarily entangled and bound and completely interpermeated with and by other people's energies. And water as an element does that anyway. And so the fire sign charts are actually really informative as to the fire sign temperaments and mentalities. Fire sign people tend to be deeply sensitive and very intuitive. A lot of times the other signs get, they get the props for being intuitives, but I think a lot of fire signs are very intuitive because the water is holding space in these parts of the chart that help you connect with who and what is around you in ways that are often very unboundaried. Now, this can be a really beautiful thing. This can lend itself to deep levels of compassion and commitment and empathy and attunement in your relationships. A lot of times, Aries gets described as being a warrior, as being brash, as being headstrong, as being passionate, as being danger and thrill seeking. Not so often do we hear about the intense loyalty of Aries and the fierce commitment to family and the real deep sense of relationship that I think drives a lot of Aries decisions and motivations. But that's what I'm feeling for you as I'm tuning in with your chart. I'm feeling your sensitivity resonating very deeply right now, and into especially the channels that connect you with the nearest and dearest to you and the most impacting to you. So here I want to definitely include your family of origin as well as chosen family. I want to definitely include anybody who you have to share with, and that includes sharing space. That includes sharing time on a regular kind of rhythm. It definitely includes sharing power. It definitely includes sharing money. It definitely includes sharing bodily fluids. This would be sexual partners. It definitely includes sharing of like a lineage of some kind. So, people who may be in your connection of what we might call debts and inheritances. It definitely also includes those who have passed on and your ancestors, and also your formers, your exes, the ones who are still here in body, but not present, or certainly not present in the same way in your life. And this season to me feels in some ways like a haunting, and I do not mean that in a negative way, although I know that haunting has its own kind of vibe, but let me explain. It feels like you are being visited right now. It's like who's that guy? Is it Scrooge, right? The ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, whatever. It's like you are being visited right now. You're being visited by any kinds of relational entanglements that you haven't fully cleared or closed. You're being visited by the possibilities of what could be in the future, but also possibilities that maybe you feel kind of intense about, like maybe you really, really want them, but you're also scared of them. There might be a sense of your own your own intensity kind of coming forth. And so maybe you are being visited by, your own hauntings, like how you have been in the past or how your potential to be is in the present or the future. This is a deeply, deeply psychological time for you. And it is a time that really needs you to be concentrated and aware of your own energy, because you have so much going on internally right now. And what is happening for you on an internal, psychological, relational, and emotional level actually isn't ready to get expressed directly, even though there will be periods of time in Scorpio season where you really want to. And that's the interesting thing about this particular retrograde, is it is bringing a lot of impulses and motivations and visions and ideas of what's possible. I think there will be times through this season that you feel really motivated and really inspired. And then there will be times where you feel really fucking confused, where you feel completely, overcome by emotion of some kind, where you get totally wrapped up in the psychology of it, or where your directive and energy can't move directly and energetically because it's wrapped up in somebody else's energy. And so there has to be some kind of like untangling, detangling process that's happening. So we enter into Scorpio season October 22nd. Mercury is in its retro shade. But by the end of October, beginning of November, both Mercury and Mars move into Sagittarius. Now, this is the period of time where I feel that a lot of you are like, let's go. The first week or so of Scorpio season could feel kind of intense. I think that some of you might feel like you've been hit by something, like there's an impact in some way that, I don't know, like the intuitive feeling that I have right now is just impacted, like you feel impacted. This could be a physical impact, an emotional impact. Maybe you had like an intense dream. Certainly it could be a collective impact. You might be absorbing the shock of yet another horrific, heartbreaking tragedy happening in the world, or you might be, really feeling concerned for people who you really care about. Maybe you are directly experiencing something that's going on. I think for a lot of you, it's not that explicit. It's not that extreme. It's something that is more psychological and potentially relational. And your sense of stability and security is getting challenged and tested right now. And the point of it all is to get you to be more stable and secure inside yourself. But in order to do that, you have to actually face your fears. You've got to address your shadows. You've got to do some kind of internal transformative alchemy. And nobody else can really do that for you. You have to do it for yourself. And I feel that you kind of, it's like you're feeling that as we come into Scorpio season. And there's pressure on you right now to figure out how to shift your energy. I think that a lot of you are very aware of where certain kinds of energetic psychological patterns or relational entanglements feel like they're stuck or they're stagnant, or maybe you are stuck in them or someone else is, and you want to move it forwards. There's also a sub-theme happening right here that has to do with value and values. So are you values aligned with anybody who you might be sharing any kind of intimate space with? That can include any kind of relationship, romantic, familial, work-related, etc. If there's trust involved, if there's vulnerability involved, if people are paying you or you're paying people or you're sharing resources at all, those are these kinds of relationships. Are you values aligned? Are you caring about the same things? If you're not, I'm going to tell you that this is not a time to try to force the river of other people. You will only exhaust yourself by trying to get other people to change. Your work right now is to clarify your own values and your own directive. Your work right now is also to clarify your personal value and to clarify the value of your relationships and why you want to be in them. Relationships change. Contracts and terms of agreement change. Some of you need to up level a little bit. You're like, I'm worth more than this. pay me, show up, invest in, because I'm giving this much, like I deserve to be met. You also really need to concentrate and meditate on what is the value of the relationships that you are in? Why do you want to be in them? You have to clarify your why right now. And sometimes we clarify that by actually considering the possibility of, not, right? Like sometimes distance or actually considering ending something is what we need in order to recognize why we want to stay in it. So there is this kind of period of tension as we move into Scorpio season where I feel that a lot of you are very closely examining how you are in intimate spaces and how you are entangled energetically, financially, in power, and in your psychology with other people. Then as we get into the end of October, beginning of November, energy starts to shift. Mercury and Mars move into Sagittarius. We've got a full moon in Taurus, and then Uranus is retrograding from Gemini back into Taurus, kind of all within like a week, last few days of October, first several days of November. Now, all of this movement at once feels energizing in your chart. It feels like you have some kind of boost of optimism. It feels like you're landing with something that feels important and feels like your values, and you're like, this is what I care about. I feel sturdy in this, like tally ho, let's go. Some of you are, I'm just laughing because I'm thinking of a specific areas in my life right now, but I'm really seeing it in the chart. Some of you are raising your rates right now, and this could be a period of time where you get a little bit of a boost or a raise, or you get recognized and seen for the value of your contribution. And this allows you to kind of like feel yourself a little bit. It's like, you're like, yeah, like I am worth that and I'll take it. And some of you might be having the opposite experience, but it's kind of doing the same thing. So maybe you've asked for a raise. You're like, I need to be compensated. I need to be met in my energy. Could be a partner, could be some kind of other arrangement. And then someone's like, no, sorry, I can't give that to you, or like, fuck off, or whatever, however people say it in whatever situation they're in. And then you're like, okay, I don't need you anyway. But I feel that the energy for you ultimately is liberating around your sense of personal self-worth. And it's also clarifying for you around what you need, what you want, and what's important to you. And this is great. Like, this kind of frees your energy, and it allows you to start looking at the future and your possibilities and potentials in some different ways. And especially around this full moon, November 5th or so, man, you've got some good energy. You're like, yeah, let's go. But not so fast, because then Mercury is stationing retrograde, Jupiter is stationing retrograde, and Mercury and Mars are coming together, and this whole grand water trine is really starting to intensify. And basically from Mercury station retrograde November 9th until, I'm going to say Mercury station direct November 29th, this grand water trine is so strong. And the Scorpio new moon on November 19th it's like one for the books. Very late degrees of Scorpio in aspect to all of the outer planets. The sun and the moon are together with Mercury. Mercury is forming its inferior conjunction. We have a direct contact between the outer planets, Uranus and Neptune at that time. It feels kind of cataclysmic in its energy that could be experienced in positive and negative ways, depending on the person, the place, the context, etc. But I do feel that on a collective level, this is a period of time where there is a big swell of deep emotionality. Now, sometimes it is so literal with astrology, and this much water in the chart could be showing up as flooding, actually. I mean, we are living through a time of climate breakdown, so I'm not saying anything that, climate scientists aren't talking about all the time. It may or may not happen, that there's a big flood during this grand water trine with all of this water circulating. But whether or not water is actually flooding a place, it does feel like a time when human consciousness is very flooded and the psychological plane is very flooded. And there is a lot of feeling around this time. My feeling and my prayer is that this is actually a big turning point in the trajectory and the directive that humanity is on currently. I am an optimist. I do feel optimistic right now. And I feel that there is a large swell and momentum building of people who really care deeply and who want to take care of and preserve and protect what is most valuable to them. And what is most valuable to them is not having the biggest military in the world. It's not having the biggest dick in the world. It's not having all the money, whatever, myths have been put out there about what power and success actually look like and what is valuable. I think more and more and more people are recognizing that what is valuable is life, and water is life. Being able to feel is life. Our feelings flow with one another. Being able to relate and love and care for one another and bond and take care of families and root and anchor and have home is the most important thing. Taking care of our home is the most important thing. Earth, each other. I'm just casting that spell for myself. Take it if it works for you for this period of time in the collective. And I really feel that in the Aries charts, there's some kind of resonance with this. And that a lot of you, even though you're in this space right now of like, yeah, pay me, I need to be met with my energy in order for me to keep participating in whatever it is. That is a vibe. But that is also part of this larger vibe that has to do with care and protection and preservation. Like, you understand what you need in order to sustain and maintain your life, your investment, your buy-in, your follow-through, your attention, your giving, your generosity. And things are really so brutally blatant on an emotional level right now. And I think that a lot of you are really coming to terms with some deep emotional truths during this time. And yes, that could feel intense, but it serves the purpose of your liberation and your freedom and your happiness and your clarity. So don't do that thing that human beings do where we're like, oh no, don't make me uncomfortable. And then we refuse to feel our feelings. We don't actually let ourselves go into the depths. We clutch at what's familiar and what feels safe just so we can maintain the status quo. And then we're never really free and we're never really happy and we're constantly dissatisfied. And then we feel like we have to buy all kinds of stuff or numb ourselves out or get addicted or whatever. The feeling that I have for you, Aries, is that right now you are in a moment of powerful emotional, psychological transformation. And this transformation is going to take the time that it needs. And I think that this span of time from November 9th until the 29th is a big portal for you. And I think that you are going through something at this time. And you might need to shed a lot. You might really benefit from doing your own death rituals, cord cutting rituals, rituals of remembrance, and also of giving back to the earth. This may be a period of time in which you are actively processing loss and grief, and you need to be very present with that. And if you are in a direct experience of loss and grief, I can see in your chart that the veils are really thin. And this might not resonate for everybody. Take what works, leave the rest. In my personal experience, going through times of intense loss and grief really opened my portal to the realm of spirit. And it is such a unique and profound quality of time that opens up in those spaces. I have had the opportunity to be with a couple of beloveds as they transition from this realm into the realm of spirit. And even inside the grief and the loss and the anger that I've felt, I've also felt so full and kind of transported like into these other realms and dimensions where I can access something that is not of this world, but is very deeply of my own soul and spirit. And so what I want to say to those of you, and this is not a negative prediction, you know if it's you. Some of you out there are really going through very potent and poignant experiences of actual loss, personal loss. You know it if it's you. It's not, I don't think it's the kind of thing that's coming out of the blue. It's like something you've been working with for a while. You know it's coming. You are in a portal right now. The veils are thin and spirit is with you. And this is a very, 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 very open gate. The more that you pray, the more that you meditate and contemplate and just make space to be with the quality of the numinous that you are experiencing, the more you will be poured into by spirit. You will be given what you need to assist this transition and to go through it yourself. You actually have so much support right now to be with the intensity of what's emerging. So I'm saying this, but I really don't want you to feel scared. I want you to feel courage. I want you to feel like, yes, you've got this. And on the other side of this, because the only way out is through, is a lot of expansion. And we are going to get there in Sagittarius season. That is totally the vibe in Sagittarius season, is that we are making the meanings that are most meaningful for us about what we have just been through in Scorpio season, and maybe over some significant stretches of time, because we are working with these last moments of Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. So I am now going to flow into your Sagittarius season offering. And in that reading, I'm going to have a little bit of an experiment and offer to you a guided journey. And this journey is meant to help you really work with your own energy, work with your own intentions, and recollect and remember with these presences of Neptune and Saturn and Pisces especially, as well as with the recent Mercury retrograde, in order for you to make the, what am I trying to say? In order for you to set your course and to speak your spells and really support yourself through intentionality and contemplation with your next steps. So I hope that you will subscribe and follow the channel so that you'll get a notification. You can turn your notifications on when the Sagittarius readings come out. And I hope that any or all of what I'm offering to you in Scorpio season does feel supportive. And the new moon and this kind of portal really closes us out of the season. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to leave you here. But listen. This is what I've got to say. You are on a journey of liberation, my Aries friends. You are entering into a period of time that is about really owning and claiming your fire. That means your power, that means your creativity, that means your passion. And you're moving through something right now that might feel intense, for sure. It might take you into the depths, absolutely. But that journey is essential because you have something to claim there. And the RE prefix, this is what we want to do with the retrogrades. One of my favorite RE prefix words is reclaim. And the place where this retrograde is happening for you is a place of regeneration and transformation. And so the more that you can support yourself to really go to the depths of what you're experiencing, to penetrate into the substance of it, to get into the roots, to really let yourself have this process and work with it in a transformative way, the more liberated you become. And you need this liberation because your life is asking you to expand in some big ways. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about in Sagittarius season. It is also what I'm definitely going to be talking to you about in your 2026 year ahead readings, which are discounted on pre-sale now. They will not stay on sale for very long. So make sure, if you want to get my download on your 2026 year ahead, to pre-order now. And you can find the link in the show notes below. And I'm going to leave it there, Aries. I love you. I am wishing you all the best in Scorpio season and beyond. Psst, one more thing. It's me again. Thank you so much for listening. If you're still here and you enjoyed your reading so much that you want to play around with embodied astrology with me, join me sometime for my weekly virtual class, Somatic Space. You can catch me live on Zoom every Monday, where we tune in with the lunar cycle, solar season, and transits for the week ahead, and work with gentle mind, heart, body practices that prepare us to meet what's coming with skill and with style. There's also more going on at Embodied Astrology, including a lovely community, bi-weekly chart reading study groups, and seasonal workshops such as this season's 4-session series with Saed Mansour, Dancing the Political. This series is going to be super powerful with what's coming up in Scorpio season and this 2-month long-lasting Grand Trine in Water. Y'all, this is definitely a time when we need to be as engaged as possible in ways that are also transformative and self-reflective. And that is what Saed's work is all about. And that is what we are all about here at Embodied Astrology. So if you want to learn more about his series, Somatic Space, and what's happening on our calendar here at EA, you can find all the links, you know where, and also visit us at embodiedastrology.com. Okay, that's really all. Bye for now.